beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Align Your Energy with Joy and Abundance. So hi, I'm Aley, intuitive healer and mother of four. Today's episode I wanted to talk about the 5 main spiritual lessons that I have learnt this year. As 2023 is coming to an end and we're in the Sagittarius moon phase, it's a time for reflection and what's gone on this past year. And as you know, when we reflect, we grow. We work out where we're stuck. We celebrate ourselves with what we've been able to achieve. And it helps set us up for success in 2024. So let's get to it. So my first one, number 1, grief comes out of nowhere. So those of you who have been following my journey know that my dear mum passed away December last year. And this year, I could be pottling along and then all of a sudden I could see a blackbird. I could see mum's carnation. Someone could mention something and tears would just fall. They would just fall. Grief can come out of nowhere. And what I've learnt from this is to allow it. Everybody grieves in so many different ways in your own way. So what I do is allow the tears to flow, allow these feelings to come up, whatever needs to be acknowledged, whatever needs to be felt in that moment. Another one I was wary of with my grief with mum is being aware of where my thoughts are going, and whether I was attaching to sad memories or happy ones. So not really trying to change the memories that come up, like being able to allow what comes up, but not attaching to sad, and then keep thinking of sad, because then the vibration would completely low. So it was like a balance of being able to feel it and just sit with it for a while without attaching any thoughts to it. These ones were a hard one. A recent one with my grief is chatting to my dear sister. And I had recognised that this year I had not been doing much in the garden. And again, those of you who know me well know I absolutely love being outside. I love my garden. I love natural gardening. And I love to teach about it and talk about it all the time. And I made the realization that I hadn't actually been in the garden much this year. And then, some of my plants were dying or they hadn't been planted out. And then I felt sad. I felt sad that some of my plants were dying, that I wasn't tending to them and looking after them. I am quite a sweet soul. I am nature's elemental. I love looking after the earth. And when I recognized this, I spoke to my sister. And I said, you know what, I've just lost confidence in the garden since Mum has passed. And a simple comment that she said, well, Mum was actually really proud of you and your gardening. And that set the tears flowing, and I just sat there and cried and cried and cried. One, because yes, it was something Mum and I shared together. And I cried so much with the grief and the realization that I had been avoiding something that brought me so much joy, that brings me so much joy. Because I guess it was that connection between her and I. And it's something I love. So sometimes, grief, as I said, it comes out of nowhere. It can come out. Yeah. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful it came out because I could feel it and I could acknowledge it. And so now I am back in the garden teaching it again. And yes, sometimes I go out there and I do feel sad, and it's working through it. It's allowing that sadness to come up and that happiness and that joyful moment, whatever surfaces, going out and tending to the earth again. And it feels like home. I've been avoiding it. But man, I'm so thankful that I was open enough and aware enough to identify it And I also happened to say, okay, I'm going to do little by little. And I spoke to Dave, and he's helping me and the kids. And so if I need a hand in the garden or I need a little bit of time out, we're all on the same page, and I've got that support, which is fantastic. You've got to speak it up to know, so others can know how they can support you and what you're going through. So I'm really, really grateful that I am in my garden again, and it is so beautiful, so wonderful. It feels like home, which brings me to my second spiritual lesson this year, is the importance of allowing your emotions to flow. This is something that has come up for me all year, whether they are good or you consider them bad, or whether they're positive, negative, whether they feel good or not so good. Emotions are emotions. There's no attachment to good or bad or positive or negative. Emotions, all emotions, even the joyful ones like joy, happiness or sadness or anxiety, all of these emotions are pinpoints from your soul telling you whether you're on track or off track. They've got powerful messages for you. They tell you in that moment what you're needing. And when we stop and we pause, we breathe in, and we identify and acknowledge that emotion. Sometimes if it's uncomfortable, we steer away from it. But what happens then is the emotion, if it's not felt or acknowledged, it stores within your body, within your energetic body. And it can attract more, like an onion, as it grows, and it attracts more of that vibration, energetic vibration, until you're able to release it. It can manifest in ways of like grief on the lungs and lung disorders, heart disorders, and any sort of emotions that are stuck and stored. Great one if you want to delve into emotions is Bradley Nelson's emotion code, the emotion code, and he's got the body code as well. And if you subscribe to Gaia, there's the emotion code movie. It's like an hour 20, tells you all about how emotions get stuck and how you're able to gently release them. If you are listening to this and you'd like a copy of that, I do subscribe to Gaia, so I can send it to you via a messenger as well. I'm not sure about email, but just reach out if you would like a copy of that. Part of our subscription is you're able to share certain videos. So yes, the importance of allowing emotions. My two biggest ones is allowing that. I have like both extremes. One is that sadness, and allowing that sadness to come through without kind of fully attaching to it, but just allowing it, feeling where it is. And if it cries, and being aware of what thoughts, observing what thoughts are leading to that. And allowing whatever is coming up to just kind of sit with it, letting it flow, feeling like it can become like a cloud, or it can become like a river, and its energy and air moving through my body to be able to release it. Another one for me that I identified this year that I can kind of feel stuck with feeling is joy. I think with our growing up, there were moments where growing up there was a lot of lack, there was a lot of scarcity and stress. And so for me, feeling the deep emotion of joy for a long period of time is something that I can find I'm often in protective mode. I'll feel a little bit, but then it's kind of like that subconscious belief, oh no, I better not feel joy for too long. That feels too good. So that's another one that I have identified this year, is that sadness and that joy, and reminding myself I am safe to feel, I am held. It is okay to feel joy, it's okay to feel. It is okay to feel. And this is something I can definitely relate to, because my dear mum, it was really hard for her to feel. She had quite a turbulent upbringing, a lot of trauma, a lot of sadness. And so it became apparent when I was looking after her before she passed about the emotions that she did not allow herself to feel. And it was very similar to habitual patterns that I now show, that I'm now aware of. And that's the beauty of, say, moon work, getting in touch with yourself every single month. You can work out where you are repeating, say, other people's habits, or perhaps she's learned it from somewhere else. Or, because we're energetically connected as well, the energetic body, where it's stored within you. Say where it's stored within my mum, it's stored within me, and then it's stored within my children. They're energetic. So your emotions, if you're not allowing them to flow, they don't just sit in your body, in your energetic body. As you have children and future generations, that energetic body can pass on to generations as well. Those emotions can pass on. So it is insanely important for not just you, and taking responsibility of their own healing within yourself. That's a huge one for me, is really identifying my own healing, because then I can identify things in my children and around, and having those teachings there. So that was 2. 1, grief comes out of nowhere, and 2, the importance of allowing emotion. 3, my third lesson is where I am still in victim consciousness. There are 4 types of consciousness. Victim consciousness is where things happen to you. Everything's happening to me instead of for me or being a creator. The second stage of consciousness is by me, where you realize that your part in it, your ownership, it's by me. The third state of consciousness is through me. Everything creates through me. So whether you've got any energetic blocks or limiting beliefs, and things happen through you. And the last stage of consciousness is as me. Everything is as me. I am the table, I am the land, I am the house, I am the grass, I am nature. It is as me. So these are the different kinds of consciousness. When you get to as me, you're able to kind of realize that interconnectedness of absolutely everything, that we're all energetic bodies, we are all energy in motion. So for me, a few things had come up this year of the 2. Being in the victim consciousness is my reactions of reaching out to other people for them to validate me. And I had a friend that I realized I did that a lot, and it ended up being quite turbulent, because I would often reach out for her to ask for her ideas. What do you think? Shall I do this? And if she replied back with opinion, or she questioned something, then I would feel less than, or I would feel unworthy, or I would take it personally. And that's because I'd looked for outer validation instead of validating it myself. And then when you're asking for validation, depending on who you're asking for validation from, they're going to put their own experiences, their own emotions, their own agendas into that, which then can kind of sway yourself. But if you're able to stop and actually listen to what feels right, your own intuition, what feels right for you, then you will learn to stop asking. It's okay, you can kind of bounce ideas off, but also then becoming aware of where it sits in your body. So for me, it was that validation, where I was asking others to validate my decisions and my thought process. But then I would take on their ideas or I would take on their perceptions, or it would lead to me doubting myself and my ability and my own intuition because of a behavior that I'd done already. But in those moments, I'll be like, how can they ask that question? How can they do that? Does that mean I'm less worthy? Does that mean they don't believe in me? And it was more that realization of that it's the other person, it's their own, they can only talk and teach from their own experience. And sometimes that experience can be projected onto others. The saying goes, hurt people, regardless of, and comes back to the intention. If they're curious or if they have a certain belief, it will come across as well. So for me, where I'm still stuck in victim consciousness, could be that validation, but then also taking things personally. Now, when something happens and I take it personally, for example, a clear example is like with my children. If they say talk a wee bit rudely, I can take it a bit personally. I'll say, how can you talk to me like that? But it's not like talking to it in that moment. It's recognizing other people's reactions and the way they're acting is a reflection of how they are feeling about themselves. It's nothing to do with me. It's actually got nothing to do with me. I'm part of that interaction. But and so instead of taking it personally, it's being able to recognize this is how they feel about themselves. And then me as a healer, I'll be like, okay, either I need to set like a loving boundary and to say, look, I can see you're frustrated. Is there another way you could talk? Is there another way you could express yourself? Because they are already expressing. Is there a kind of way that we can do that? What's going on, and kind of getting down to the underneath of what's happening. Not always easy when you've got 4 children, but it's recognizing for me, my triggers, my my kind of stuckness, for lack of another word. So that's realizing. So a lot of the time I do realize that my consciousness is happening through me, how I'm feeling, and I can consciously choose how I want to feel that day, what I want to create. And it's noticing my deep subconscious and the ego that likes to drag me back to this is happening to me consciousness. Just being aware of it, not beating myself up about it, and just say, oh, there it goes again. Right, and lesson 4 this year is trusting in divine timing and my own intuition. I kind of touched on it before about the consciousness, but definitely trusting in divine timing and intuition. Huge thing with me is like going through the moon cycles, you can kind of tell, say, if there is self-doubt or if there's an area where you feel kind of resistance. And being able to be in tune with yourself, you find out whether this resistance is actually because it's not for you, or if there's a limiting belief, or it's imposter syndrome. And knowing, yes, I want to create certain things this year, and then if I look back, I can see the moments where I wasn't quite able to create what I wanted to because I needed to rest, or I needed to grieve, or I needed to just be. It's really trusting in divine timing. If something, whatever is going to come to you will never miss you. Whatever is meant for you will never miss you. So when you trust in divine timing and something doesn't quite go as you planned, know that the universe is backing you and it will come when the timing is right. And trusting your own intuition. For example, last year when Mum was unwell and around March, I said to my sister, look, you need to come up and see Mum. So we managed to raise enough money to fly my sister and her children down here to be able to say that, because Mum's health had been up and down, to say their goodbyes to Mum, spend that time with her, because with her exacerbations, we never knew when the last one would be, and it just seemingly kind of came out of nowhere. I figured out all the little warning signs, when she was about to start. And my intuition was always on point with her, and I'd be like, no, she's starting again, we need to get on top of it. So I knew there was something in me that told me, and I was like, Jess, you have to come down. So they came down, we raised money, and they came down. Because initially Jess was saying, oh no, we'll wait until the end of the year once her study and everything's finished, and she'd already booked some flights. And she's like, we'll wait there. Well, if Jess had not come down, when we'd scheduled it, and I just felt such a push to do it, trusting divine timing and my intuition. And long story short, if Jess had not come up, she would not have been able to have that hug and say those goodbyes to Mum, because when her flights were booked, Mum passed 2 days before she was scheduled to come down, and she would have completely missed. So Mum passed 2 days before Jess and her children were coming down. So if I had not have pushed that, and if I had not have had the support of social media and everyone around, everyone put money in and knew the seriousness of this, so that Jess could fly down quite promptly. And Mum did last a few more months, but it was one of those ones, really listen to your intuition. And number 5 is I need and I can choose my life daily. I can choose my life daily, and I need to, and I can. So that one there that I wanted to finish on is that you can choose how you want to feel. You can choose how you want your life to be. When you trust and you allow and you surrender, and when you really know, you have this clear picture of how you want to feel, how you want your life to look. For me, I want more flow and more calm, and you can start bringing in those calm feelings. So that was a huge lesson for me this year, is really knowing that yes, I can create the life that I desire. I can speak it into existence. Be aware of what you're speaking. Are you speaking lack, or are you speaking abundance? Every time you speak, are you focusing on the good? Are you focusing on all the good out there, the gratitude? Or are you speaking about lack? Or are you moaning about something? Because that's the energy of existence that you're bringing back into your life. So for me, it was that wee switch of really thinking about my throat chakra and where I am choosing in my life daily, what I'm speaking into existence and what I'm creating. So yes, I hope any of those are helpful to you. Perhaps there were some little inklings or areas that feel like, actually it could be a little trigger. Acknowledge it, write it down. You are still worthy, you are not less than, and just notice. And then also, it could be that you may resonate with some of this. But either way, I hope you have a fabulous Christmas. Something told me in the shower last night that someone needs to hear this. So often I get my guidance and I receive it and feel it in the shower. Water seems to be my element. And someone needs to hear this. I thought I'd pop on today. The kids, other than the door opening just before, I don't know if that was heard. But yes, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. You are worthy, you are loved, you are enough. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful new year too. Mwah. If I don't see you before then, take care. I love you.